Yale, Auburn. Auburn, the 4 seed, taking on 13 seed Ivy League champs, 4:15 Eastern on TNT in Spokane. Auburn 12.5, 13-point favorite here, over under 141. Greg, you gonna make a case for the Bulldogs?
I am. I got to do a preview with Kevin Sweeney, not to name drop, but Sports Illustrated Zone, and we were
Okay.
previewing this game this afternoon. And he loves Auburn. He's all over him. He has Auburn in his national championship. And I came into this and I told him, listen, I couldn't be selling Auburn stock more. I need you to convince me in these next 10 minutes. Tell me why this team can make it all the way. And he essentially got to a conclusion where he was like, well, if Jared Harper was on this team, this would be the national champion. There's parallels to UConn last year. 4th best team in KenPom on the 4 seed line, undervalued. Nobody sees it coming. And I'm like, well, yeah, if they had a great guard, I'd be very in on this team. They don't have a great guard. So that's not a sell for me. Look, I still don't buy it at all. The same way that we had to wait 3 months to accept that Alabama's not who KenPom told us they were. We had to see them play 12 games against top 30 opponents to realize they were going to go 2-10. And okay, yeah, they're not that good. Auburn's 1-4 on the season against top 25 teams. They have 1 win. The win was Alabama. That's their best win. They haven't beaten a top 10 team. Alabama's not nearly as good as we thought. And they didn't pass any other tests in SEC play. And there's a lot of stinky teams at the bottom of that league. Look, I do think Auburn is talented. They're very good. They can cause problems with their athleticism. Broome is going to be the best player on the floor. But to me, they really are kind of like the bullies who kind of get bullied if they go up against somebody their own size. Now, the elephant in the room is Yale's not necessarily their own size, but Danny Wolf is a guy who's going to be a high major center. He's a guy who can stretch Broome out and take away one of the most critical elements of this Auburn defense, which is Broome's shot blocking, just hovering by the rim. I think on paper, the matchup is a good one for Yale because him dragging Broome out, Wolf dragging Broome out, is very good for what they want to do offensively. The key number for me here is the tempo. I have a number of possessions I'm looking for. 67 possessions. If Yale can keep this game under that number, we know Auburn wants to get out and run. Yale wants to keep it under. Yale's 11-4 outright in games under that number. They were able to keep it under that number against Kansas. They were in that game down the stretch. It was a close game. They were not able to keep it under that number against Gonzaga. Gonzaga opened up a lead, didn't have a good chance late. Auburn is just 3-3 this season in games under 67 possessions. I mean, they force tempo. That's what I'm looking for. I think they can do it. And beyond that, Yale, they don't turn the ball over. They're not going to get spooked by the run and jump turnover forcing Auburn defense. I think this is worth a sprinkle on the money line. In my bracket, I do have Yale to win, advancing. It's one of my favorite underdog picks of the week, but I love the plus 13. I think that's one of the safest against the spread plays for me of the first weekend.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, they're 327th in adjusted tempo. They are also 308th in 3-point attempt rate allowed. Increases variance more if you're talking about a potential outright upset. And Auburn, they're look in fairness to them, like they have blown out almost everyone. All of their wins in the regular season came by double digits. Only Texas A&M was within 15 points. But I think when Auburn's good, they're really good, especially at home, and they get these huge blowouts, which I think are have artificially increased their metrics and analytical profile, similar to what we saw at BYU. Remember BYU earlier in the year? And this Auburn team has looked so good lately. I think this is the peak of the market. You're selling high on Auburn. Since February 1st, they're shooting 39.5% from three. They're not a 40% three-point shooting team. Prior to February 1st, they were 33%. So there's some looming regression there. Yale also is great on the defensive glass. They don't turn the ball over, and they don't foul. And like Auburn's really good on the offensive glass. They're really good at getting to the line. So, yeah, and they're really good in transition. Yale's going to slow this game down. They're not going to turn the ball over. They're going to run good offense. And what you ultimately need to do, and look, they have a couple players, Poulidakis and I always get his name wrong, Poulakidis, and who's the other kid? Mahoney, who can get white hot from three. But And Yale, look, that Yale does want to get to the rim and they want to run a lot of stuff through the post, which isn't going to necessarily work here against Broome. Against Auburn, you're not going to really get threes, and you're not going to get anything at the rim. What you need to do is hit. Now, Yale's going to have to hit some threes. They're going to get looks, but you're not going to get a ton. You got to hit mid-range jumpers. So you can work to the post, cutting action, which you can get Auburn on with their aggression, but you got to hit mid-range jumpers. And I think Yale can do that here. Auburn allows an extremely high mid-range percentage or frequency. They're really good defending it, but Yale has Mbang, Noling, who can operate there. They're 81st in mid-range field goal percentage. That's what you need to do. The one thing that does scare me is Yale gets no second chance points at all. Now that's good because they're going to slow the game down, right? They're not going to let Auburn run in transition. They're 351st in the country in points off of offensive rebounds. And that's like an avenue where you can get offense against Auburn because they're aggressive, so they get out of position. That scares me a bit. The other thing that scares me is the fact that Auburn, Yale doesn't get to the line a ton, but Auburn's really aggressive. They're probably going to get to the line some. Yale can just go so cold from the line. They're not a great free throw shooting team. And as far as, especially for picking an outright upset, you don't want an overmatched dog athletically and talent-wise to leave 3 points just at the charity stripe. It would just, I could see that burning them. But if Yale can slow this game down, look, they're obviously at a huge athletic and talent mismatch, but so was Princeton against Arizona last year in a 2 versus 15. And this is a 4-13. I know Auburn got a raw deal. Probably should be a 2 or 3 seed. But I think this is at the peak of their market value. And if Yale can slow this game down, I think they have a chance. Calabrese, you want to add anything?
I said it during the live bracket reveal. I lean Yale. I don't think they can win outright, but I think this number at 12.5 is too many points. So I'm going to be on them from that regard. But if Danny Wolf gets in foul trouble, I think the dam could break, and I think Auburn could just be stuffing home every single second chance opportunity, bottle cap and dunks in, and the roof could cave in on the Bulldogs. So in terms of a single player, foul trouble being like a 5-alarm fire situation, it's Danny Wolf leaving this game and heading to the bench early in the first half.